Okay, and now the next screen designing guideline is typography. Okay, so basically in typography, by definition, typeface is the name of a font type, such as the Times Roman we are using on the daily basis. This Times New Roman, Arial, Vedana, or Helvetica. So we can use different kind of font, having different sizes, different cases, different types, different styles. We can use lot of qualities, we can use lot of things in our on our screen with different kinds of qualities. Okay, so we have different kind of sizes, that is 16 point, we can say 16 point Arial, or 12 point, 16 point. So we have different sizes we can use as per the requirement we can use. Then we have cases, that is upper, lower, and mixed cases. That is for the heading we can use the upper case, and for the normal text we can use lower case, and so on. Okay, then for the types we have serifs and sans serifs. Okay, so these are the families of the type of the font. And then the last one is the style, that is bold, italic, and outline or shadow. Okay, so if something want if the some element or some text we want to show, or we want to expose, then we can make it using shadow, or we can use the outline. So we have all these qualities. So these are the different characteristics why we are using this font to communicate the organization of the screen element, then identify the most important screen element. So if we want to show the most important element of the screen, so we can make it using the typography, that we can make the bigger font, then we can make the unusual font. Okay, and we can use the different styles also. Okay, to identify the most important one. Then establishing the reading order. Okay, so if you will see that the heading is in the in the bold style, then having uppercase and at the top, and having size larger than as compared to the other text. So we will start with we'll start the reading section from the top, because we know that this is the heading. Okay, so it will establish a reading order also. Then next is to create a particular mood. Okay, so if the font and the styles and the cases and all these styles are good, then it will create a particular to read something, or to listen, or to read something basically. Then font types and families. Okay, so now all these things we are much aware of all these things, that is font types and different families. um, this is the recommendation that we use simple and common and familiar font to achieve the best reading speed. That Arial and Vedana, and then sans serifs, Times New Roman. Okay, we have to avoid speciality or cool font. Okay, some fonts are like they are very hard to understand, and they are very hard to understand, and that what has been written. So we have to use very simple and common font, and which are very familiar to the peoples or the users. And we have to use no more than two families compatible in terms of the thickness, capital letters, and height, and so on. Okay, so we don't have to use two families together, because it can jumble the things, and the user may find difficulty to read the content. Then comes to, okay, we can see the example for the for the Times Roman, Times Italic, Times Bold Italic. So these are the different combination. Okay, the font is same, that is the Times New Roman, and the first one is the normal, second one is the italic, the third one is bold, the fourth one is bold plus italic, the fourth one is the outline, and the fifth one is the shadow. Okay, so these are the different possibilities we can use for different requirement. Then font sizes. Okay, so as per the screen and as per the web pages, whatever we are designing, so we can use different kinds of different sizes of the font. Okay, so we have to consider what has been described and what has been standardized for the screen and for the web pages. We have to use no more than three sizes. That is, we have to consider one height, and we have to use all over the same height. For graphical system, we have to use 12 point for menus, 10 points for Windows. These are the standardized thing we have to follow. And for web pages, this is the for the body text we have to use 12 to 14 points, and for titles and heading 18 to 36 points we can use as per the size of the screen. For line spacing, use 1 to 1 and 1.5 times font size, and never change established type sizes to squeeze in more text. Okay. Then comes to the font style and weight. Okay, so here also we don't have to use no more than two styles of the same family, that is standard and italic. Italic is the best presented in the serif font. So these are the different recommendations they have given for the font style and weight, so we have to follow this one. To weight, regular and bold. Bold is the best presented in the sans serif font. Use italic when you want to call attention. Use bold when you want to make some hierarchy. Okay, if you have some kind of hierarchy, you want to show the types of a has two type, B and C, and B also has two types, C and D. So in that way we can show the hierarchy using the bold one. In web pages, we have to use the underline only to indicate a navigation link. Okay, if we are going to navigate the user from one location to another location using a link, then we can underline it. Okay, so these are the font style and weight. Then comes to the font cases. Okay, in font cases we have different one, that is lowercase, uppercase, and the mixed one. So these are the use mixed cases for all these things. That is control caption, data, control choice, description, text, informational message, and all that. For uppercase and capitalization for the title, if you're having any kind of title, section heading, and caution and warning messages we want to show, then we can use the uppercase messages. The next is the text background. Okay, so regarding text background, so we also know that if the background is the black one or the dark background, then we must use the foreground color as the light color. Okay, so that it should be visible to the user. Okay, and if you're using the light color as a background, then we must use the dark color for the foreground. Okay, so here the same thing is written, that is adequate contrast between text and its background must always be provided. Okay, so there must be a contrast. Then black text on a plain background has been found to yield faster reading. According, and one more thing, that is we have to avoid using a patterned background. Okay, you have seen some kind of uh, pattern background, some square, some bubbles. Okay, so we have to avoid using pattern background. Even either you are using the plain one, that is black or dark, or you are using the light one. Studies, the last point, studies also have found that people read black text on a white background up to 32% faster than reading light text on a dark background. So we have to follow this recommendation on the studies, that we have to use the black text on the white background, which is 32% faster reading, which is having 32% faster reading. Okay, the next is the next guideline. Okay, the first guideline in this video was regarding the typography. The second one is the amount of information to present. It is very short of one slide, so I've included in this video only. Amount of information to present, we also know that how many uh, how many elements, or what is the amount of information we are adding on the screen. Okay, if we add too many information or too many elements on the same screen, then it will look jumble and it looks like a forest. Okay, and we don't have to do like that. Okay, so we have to add amount of information to the screen in such a way that it will be sufficient. Okay, so we have to present the proper amount of information for the task. So too little is inefficient and too much is confusing. So that these two things we have to follow. So present all information necessary for performing an action or making a decision on one screen whenever possible. So people should not have to remember things from one screen to the next. Okay, if the one screen will be having more text, if one screen having more text, then people will be very difficult, will find very difficult to remember all those things. Okay, if you have kept fewer things on the screen, then people will, or user will remember those point or element. And the last one, that is others. Always consider the visual capabilities of the user. So whenever, if you are a designer and you are designing a screen, then you need to consider the visual capabilities, because not all the users are same. Okay, your user may be a young person, your user may be a teenage person, or your user may be a aged one, okay, who is having some visual limitation or restriction. So, unfortunately, much too small text and poor contrast between text and background remains a serious problem in web page designing. Okay, so we have to consider it very seriously. So, no matter what the reason for poor design is, always we have to consider this one, that is, consider the user's age and possible visual disabilities. Okay, and test chosen font. So, which font we are choosing, the size the size does matter, the cases does matter, all the characteristics and the qualities does matter of the typography. Okay, so this is the last one. Okay, we have read almost 6 guidelines of the screen designing that we need to keep in mind. Okay, thank you so much.